Welcome, everyone, and happy Thursday. It is noon Eastern Time here in Ambler, Pennsylvania, the booming metropolis just outside of Philadelphia, PA, and it is time for your favorite show on the internet, Talent Experience Live, the show that covers everything that you need to know in talent acquisition, recruiting, talent management, artificial intelligence, and human resources as a whole. We do this show every single Thursday covering all of these hot topics that matter most to you in human resources. And the reason why we do it, the reason why we do so much here at Phenom is to help fulfill our purpose, which is to help 1 billion people find the right work. That's why we host this program. That's why we have fantastic webinars, why we've created such wonderful technology known as intelligent talent experience management. Almost forgot the intelligent. That's the most important part. The intelligent choice, as New Balance would say. Our intelligent talent experience platform, which helps candidates find the right fit faster, employees evolve in their current roles and beyond, recruiters achieve next level productivity and efficiency, and managers get to build better teams through data analytics and automation. If any of that interests you at all, run, don't walk to phenom.com to learn more. But first, wait till the end of this episode because we have a good one today. Today we are talking about the human side of HR tech implementation. I think when you as consumers of HR tech are out there, everything looks so simple, it looks so easy. But as many of you may know, when it comes to getting technology working correctly, sometimes it's a bit of a challenge. There are different technologies that you already have standing up, integrations that need to go through, how to implement AI safe and effectively, and all of these things go into what could potentially be a headache for you, right, to get this technology up and running. And today I'm joined by a very special guest, Neli Bistrichka. I believe I said that right, but it is a challenging name for me. And we talk about the similarities between implementing HR technology, or really technology in general, and other major life events that you may have, like getting married or having a child. At first, everything seems all wonderful and fantastic. I'm sure many of you saw a plethora of wonderful mothers out with their children on Mother's Day, and those kids were on their best behavior. Little do you know, as soon as they got home Sunday night, they came down from that sugar high, crashed, and started throwing their toys all around. That's what it may feel like for HR implementation from time to time. We move out of the honeymoon stage and into getting the real work done. And Neli has well over 10 years of experience in the HR tech field, dealing with implementations, and she offers a plethora of wonderful advice for you to apply today for your next implementation. So without any further hesitation, here's Neli and myself chatting a bit about HR tech. Thanks so much. Neli, how are you?
Doing all right, Devin. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for joining TXL. I know right before we started this recording, I asked you about your last name, so I'm going to start it off with Bistrika. Good?
Perfect. And I owe
Perfect.
this to my husband. My previous last name was much better, Mesiova, but
That's
Bistrichka is a mouthful, I know.
It is. It's all right. It only took me about 7 tries to get it right.
Thank you for
So we
giving it
are.
a try. It's
Thank
great.
you. So I know, obviously you have a lot to do here at Phenom with implementation and all sorts of stuff. But for the folks at home, could you give us a brief little introduction of what you do here at Phenom, how long you've been, with the organization, and what you love or enjoy about your work?
Absolutely happy to do so, Devin. Neli Bistrichka, Bulgarian, based in the Netherlands, working for Phenom for 5.5 years almost. I started at Phenom as the first person implementing Phenom outside of the US back in 2019, with the ambition to grow a team and grow the Phenom implementation operation outside of the US. Fast forward 5 years, more than 5 years later, I now lead a team of more than 10 international project managers. And I've seen Phenom grow from less than 10 people in Europe to more than 100. It's been a tremendous career journey. And this journey was, for me, in parallel of raising my daughter. She was 6 months old when I joined Phenom. So that's how I see how much time has passed by looking at my daughter growing from a baby to a 5-year old, and my role, my team, and my contribution in Phenom growing from being a person implementing the platform to a person responsible for a team implementing the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. And as your daughter grows, your child grows, I imagining you picturing the same thing with your team, right? Being the first person in Europe, now you've made it through the walking stages. I'm sure your daughter's getting ready to run now and doing all sorts of stuff. So it's funny that you make that parallel, because I know you have an upcoming blog coming out. By the time this airs, it may already be out, because you describe implementing HR tech not necessarily as a project, but more like a major life event, like getting married or having a child. So I want to ask you, how is that the case in 2025, so much more prevalent than maybe, when you first started your tenure here at Phenom?
Would love to do so and appreciate the question. Actually, thinking back, software implementation is all I've been doing. This has been my career journey since I started working, with a few exceptions in my very early years. And I do remember I've seen the shift in software delivery over the past more than 10 years. And in 2013, when I started implementing software, we were talking about features, functionalities. Hey, this is the software I deliver. This is what I need from you to plug it in. And that was a very normal conversation, functionality and software. Now, I've seen the industry change, and now software implementations have become business critical, in the sense that everything has to be faster, simpler, more user friendly, and data driven. And the HR, especially in the HR industry, I'm personally experienced the shift from HR being the support function to now being a strategic driver of business success. So right now we start implementation compared to back then, talking about business processes. We talk about IT landscape, and we have our customers demanding us to speak and to drive HR business transformations. It's a completely different angle than what it used to be. I come with a requirements gathering document. Let me gather your requirements. Someone will build it. I ship it, and off we go. Now we talk about change management. We talk about how this new system is going to fit in the landscape, impact the end users, and deliver the value that it was intended to deliver. It also requires a completely different skill and type of person to
Yeah,
deliver the
absolutely.
software.
Much like the difference of parenting, like it was when, we were being raised and things like that. And now we have to implement, security restrictions on tablets and iPads and all sorts of stuff, which was never a concern in the past. Sticking with that analogy a little bit, I have two daughters. One is 3.5, the other turns 1 in June. And I've noticed as a parent that the two are very different, right? They may both be, the apples of my eye and what really makes me work hard at work. But when it comes to raising them and parenting them, I'm a different parent than I was with my first and compared to my second, and they're also different human beings. So I want to take that analogy and ask you this question: Is that the same case for organizations that are implementing technology? I mean, obviously, we want everything to be as simple as flipping a switch, right? And we do that for every room in our house. But realistically, these organizations being multinational, having, thousands of employees, if not tens of thousands of employees, I imagine the implementation processes are going to be different, the same way that it would be different raising, your first daughter to your second. Is that the case, and how may they differ?
Um, I do like that analogy indeed that I'm making, that if people enter a software implementation with the mindset that they enter parenthood or marriage for that matter, if they're not parents, um, it's as equally exciting as embarking on a journey to become a parent or to get married. And it's equally challenging at times, right? Because implementations are processes with beginning and end. And there is a lot that happens in between. So if you think about people, process, technology, time pressure, high stakes, there is so much that can go wrong in an implementation, and so many moving pieces similar to parenthood and marriage. It takes a person to have the mindset of the end goal the vision and the resilience to go through challenges, right? There may be highs and lows, and that's exactly that makes parenthood and marriage successful and worthy. Not necessarily that it's all a green path and a walk in the park and it's free of the ups. It's exactly overcoming those challenges that builds the relationship at home with your child and with your partner. And the same goes for the project team. Customer and us become a well-oiled project team that goes through those ups and downs in a common understanding and looking for common ways of making it feasible and successful on both ends.
Absolutely. There is a honeymoon phase, right? Where you purchase the product, you're all excited about it, and then comes the time where you and your team enter and you have to get it all working, right? And I think of the parallels between implementation as it may have been, back in 2013 when you started this process and where it is now. The expectations have changed, I'm sure, for customers because I think back to 2013 when I had, my first smartphone. I was totally okay with slow loading and having, YouTube videos buffer and things like that. Now, if I have any sort of hiccup in that process, I lose my mind, right? And I think the same thing applies to HR technology when you are mentioning these highs and lows, right? Some things are going to go very smoothly. Expectations are going to change, and then things are going to maybe not go as smoothly as you liked. How can you keep kind of your mindset and even preparing for implementation of a new product as clean and neat as possible? I think of clearing my browser history or whatever. When when you swipe all the apps up, you're like, this video isn't loading fast enough. How can folks go into a process with you and your team to make sure that it goes as smoothly as possible with the understanding that sometimes there may be a hiccup in the road?
Absolutely. There is, as everything in life, the better prepared you enter, the better experience you would have. So before any organization embarks on a Phenom implementation journey, it is important to understand that Phenom is a system that typically pulls core data from the applicant tracking system, ATS, for those of you who may not know the abbreviation. So job description, think of hiring statuses, application questions. This is data that we consume. So as you can imagine, a good data hygiene is key. And if the data is inconsistent, incomplete, or organized in a poor way, the implementation will result in garbage in, garbage out. So the bare minimum organizations can do is indeed look through the setup of the ATS and optimize the data and the processes, ideally before the Phenom implementation starts. Now, a few questions organizations may ask themselves before they start the journey is, how long ago was the ATS implemented? If it's a recent one, obviously you've probably gone through this cleaning exercise and you have a stable system. If it was 5, 10 years ago, you probably have a system which has accumulated data and processes which may not be ideal. Is everyone globally following the same process? Or are there people, parts of the business or the organization working in a different way? Or for example, are there processes, people working outside of the process, inconsistent processes, and overall will help you there, right? You're not on your own. So Phenom also offers business process mapping, IT mapping. We start every implementation understanding the IT landscape. Where are you right now? How many systems? How is the data flowing between systems? And what is the current process and what is the to be process? So we'll guide you and support you in the process, but the better prepared organizations come in, obviously the smoother journey we'll experience from both parts.
Absolutely. I love that metaphor, garbage in, garbage out. It reminds me of, maybe in a negative way, but the American diet, right? Where we have cheeseburgers and French fries and everything is very, cholesterol. It's disgusting. I'm doing my best to do that, but I've heard, from people as I'm gearing up for summer here, trying to get in shape, look my best, is that you can't outwork a bad diet, right? There's no amount of exercise that you can do that will outwork, garbage in and garbage out. But the other thing that people don't really talk about is the support team that you need around to do that, right? So you have to have If your goal is to have, the fantastic beach bod, you have to have the people in your corner who are going to support you, not your significant other who is going to, bake you cookies every day or whatever it may be. You have to have the right people, the right team around you, the nutritionist, the trainer, everything like that. When it comes to implementation, is it the same case where you have to, I think you mentioned a couple right there, but you have to have the right people involved in the process early on? And are any of those individuals executives? Are they higher up where they may not be necessarily on the front lines every day when it comes to this implementation, but you're going to need their support in the long run? Kind of a two-part question there.
Absolutely. The importance of the project team on both sides, right? Speaking client and Phenom is of tremendous importance. And I know it's a cliche, but the right people at the right places with the right expertise at the right time. So speaking, if I may summarize briefly, the Phenom project team required on the client side when we start an implementation journey is obviously the project manager. The one point of contact from the client side that is going to bridge the gap with our project manager and navigate the organization. I'll just list them out and then I'll speak about my personal experience about the importance of these roles. As I said, Phenom is going to build on the applicant tracking system data, the HRIS administrator, the admin user of the ATS, whether that's the Workday, SuccessFactors, Taleo, Cornerstone on Demand, whatever system the customer has. That person or that team, the more knowledge, experience, and expertise they bring into the table, obviously the smoother the journey would be. If career side, internal or external, is in the picture, absolutely digital marketing lead, whether that's marketing, branding, recruitment marketing. In an organization, this role can sit in various departments, depends on how an organization is organized. They will be responsible to provide the assets, the content that is going to feed the beautiful career site that the customer would launch. Their prior experience with WordPress, career site development, and overall career site management, content management is going to be also key. The more experience and expertise they have, the smoother the journey. IT, again, there will be pure IT topics that will be handled, like the SSL certificate, email white labeling, the pure IT topics. In my experience, in some organizations, these teams work with Scrum as a Scrum in a Scrum way, in sprints. They have to be engaged in a way that they're available. Absolutely, business and talent acquisition, talent management, business leaders, change champions is a role, critical role to feed in the process and the information, the requirements and the needs from the end users, and of course a validation team. One person I haven't spoken about, again, this is the pure project team, is the executive sponsor. There was a person with an idea and a vision of why we are embarking on this journey. And the role of this person is really critical in this process to keep the team focused on the big picture when everyone else is diving into the details. This is their role, right? I'm not judging the project team is here to secure a smooth, bug-free, on-time, successful delivery with a happy end users in the picture. But when we get into the nitty-gritty details, there may be hiccups or there may be things that scratch the eye of the project team where an executive sponsor can step out of the details and guide the team and sometimes also take the risk to make a brave call to move forward when there is an analysis paralysis of there's too many things going on, people are overwhelmed, and we rather postpone a go live or a major milestone to allow ourselves more time to digest versus just look at the big picture and see, are there any critical blockers for us to make a step, launch this system, and solve whatever else comes along the way, versus us trying to solve every nitty-gritty detail to make sure we're launching a perfect system on day one, which, if you ask me, doesn't exist. I mean, a perfect 100% bug-free software implementation. I wish there would be a day that I see it, but there are always things, little things right here and there that it's, if you think about it, the launching is the beginning of the journey. There is more that happens after the launch. But coming back to your question, I described the team, and for me personally, the two roles that hold the team together are the project manager and the executive sponsor. If these people are playing their role correctly, they remain pragmatic and less emotionally involved in what is happening, and then help steer the team towards must have versus nice to have, and they absolutely help remove internal blockers because organizations are complex. They have internal stakeholders and departments, and we absolutely help and support in navigating the internal politics and internal stakeholder management that our clients need to do while they're onboarding the rest of their organization into a business process transformation, what our projects are nowadays.
Absolutely. You mentioned the project managers there and that executive buy-in. And to stick with some of the analogies that we've been talking about before, I think of the project manager kind of as maybe a wedding planner, right? That is making sure that the nitty-gritty, all the seating arrangements look right. And then the executive, buying the executive champion is going to be the maid of honor on this, right? Because nobody wants to bother the bride, right? I know that your in-laws are not going to be happy together, but please don't bother the bride with that on the day of the wedding, right? And I think that there is a lot of that those two parties can communicate in order for the rest of the team to enjoy themselves at the wedding, right? Or enjoy themselves with an implementation process. They can stick to what matters for them, whether it is, the groomsman not drinking too much on the wedding day or whatever it may be. But I think that there are so many similarities to these kind of analogies as we go through this process. I want to ask you, obviously, you have gone through a number of these weddings, if you will, or early stages of parenting when it comes to implementation. What's one piece of advice that you keep giving everyone as you kind of have these conversations? What's one thing that maybe somebody who's getting ready to implement or is in the process of implementing technology right now that you'd like to share with them?
Oh, sticking to one would be a challenge, but let me do my best. Let me do my best. So again, as I said, and that's something that I count on the fingers of my hand, and I'll repeat myself, but people, process, technology, high pressure, high stakes, there is so much that can go wrong. So what we just spoke about being pragmatic and embracing on this growth mindset, if you wish. It's a great book that I continue to uh, apply in my day life as a parent, as a professional. Uh, we'll grow, we'll learn, we'll overcome challenges. So again, a lot in the software implementation, and especially my most smooth and successful partnerships with clients comes back in the collaboration and the partnership mindset. We're coming to this on both sides wanting to make this a success, and we are maintaining this mindset that whatever challenges we face, both of us have to manage internal organization and stakeholders. As long as we keep that eye on the prize, this business process transformation, and moving along whatever obstacles may come our way in a partnership mode, how do we resolve them together? We are one team with one purpose, with one ambition, is something that I see has worked very well with organizations where we've experienced a smooth journey. A smooth journey doesn't mean we haven't had our highs and lows. We've had the conversations of, hey, we have a delay or there is an obstacle, but how we overcome them together is a different way versus a pure client-vendor relationship, if I may put it that way. Obviously, when every party brings to the table the best of their intentions and also follows up on commitments on both sides, right? There will be deliverables and commitments on both sides. It's equally important to hold ourselves accountable and to have a pragmatic approach in case not everything is achievable. And because I may speak in very high terms, let me give you an example. If the go live is non-negotiable and it's a date we have to meet, but we have a high number of tickets or expectations which cannot be met at this stage because again the product or the service is not designed in this way today. It may be tomorrow, but not today. It's very often a pragmatic and rational conversation of what are the must-have, nice to have. Again, there is limited number of time and resources on both sides and one date. So before we shift the date, what can we do to stick to the date versus indeed absorbing more scope, more requirements, more expectations, and shifting the date towards a date in the future. I know it was a mouthful of one of an
No,
answer
no, that
to one question.
that was perfect. I think that it's so important to work together as a team, which is gonna, tie in that analogy to marriage as well. You're forging a life together for this implementation, and you really need to kind of check your egos at the door, if you will, in order to have success, right? And maybe there are some sacrifices that need to be made in order to hit that go live date, because if you continue to push it out and can push it out, it's going to be a 7-year engagement, right? Then no one is going to get married at the end of the day, and it's going to end poorly. So that makes complete and total sense. Nelly, this has been an amazing conversation. I know we tackled a lot. Is there anything that I may have missed? Any points that you want to drive home before we sign off?
In terms of customers or prospects that are thinking of Phenom and judging, is this the right partner? Is this the right place? Is how or what I can expect from implementations? Maybe the one thing that I can tell you is that you can expect a spirit, excited and enthusiastic team members. And coming back to your question from the beginning, why I like, love, and stay happily engaged to Phenom, to my job, and doing this at 9 p.m. in the evening is because it's exciting, right? I'm passionate about what I'm doing, and equally my team and our colleagues at Phenom are passionate about what we do. It's not a wonder that our mission is to help 1 billion people find the right work. So the one thing that I can give away is that we'll help, we'll support, we'll navigate, we'll share best practices, and we make the journey as smooth as possible. But that doesn't take away the responsibility and the accountability and the resilience that has to come from the customer side. Because again, in a marriage and in a partnership and in a tango, there are two people. And it's like a handshake. Two hands have to come together for this to work. So maybe that's the one thing that I would like to add is, again, we can do the heavy lifting, but we still need someone on the receiving side to play along and to be part of the journey.
It takes two to make the thing go right, right? That's what they
Absolutely.
say. Nelly, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I believe the blog will be out by the time we air this, so we'll drop it in the comments section. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it. Go enjoy your evening. I know it's getting late over there, but can't wait to have you on in the near future, and we can talk about how much of a success this episode was, and how people have started to work together as one, and we're able to hit all the go lives and have smooth sailing implementations from here on out. But thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you too. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye. Special thanks to Nelly for taking time out of her busy day and evening to chat with me. Wonderful conversation. We talked about marriage. We talked about having, raising children. We talked about HR tech, of course, and everything in between. And I know I learned some things. Hopefully you did as well. It's all about having that right group of individuals around you. It takes a village, is the old saying, and the same goes for implementing HR technology. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Nelly. She is on LinkedIn. You can always comment here on this program or on the podcast and let us know if you have any future questions. Can't wait to have Nelly on in the future as we continue to build bigger, better, greater technology. We're going to run into more and more challenges. So excited to talk with her in the future. But in the meantime, I hope everyone has a safe, happy, and healthy weekend. And we'll see you next week, because we do this show every damn Thursday and we wouldn't miss it for the world. Thanks so much. Have a great day.